etc. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good evening and welcome. Tonight, we celebrate the 31st graduation ceremony of the New York State American program of the Sackler School of Medicine of Tel Aviv University. And to begin the evening, I would now ask the graduates of this special 31st class of the New York State American program to enter the auditorium and take their places. Tel Aviv University. Professor Yosef Makori, Dean of the Sackler Faculty of Medicine. Professor Arnon Afek, Director of the New York State American Program. Of the New York State American Program. Mrs. Yael Caitlin, Associate Dean for Administration, Sackler Faculty of Medicine. And Mrs. Leah Schulman, Registrar and Administrative Director of the program. Kindly be seated, ladies and gentlemen. We begin our ceremony with a physician's prayer in the version attributed to Maimonides. As I am preparing myself to act in my profession, help me, O Lord, that I shall succeed in my work. Plant in my heart love for my profession and for thy creatures, and let no love of profit, aspiration to glory and honor mingle with my work, for these sentiments run counter to the love of truth and the love of my fellow creatures. And so I beseech thee, pray, do not let me stray in my great work for the welfare of thy creatures. Steel and strengthen the powers of my body and my mind to make me ever ready to help rich and poor, good and bad, those who love and those who hate, and let me perceive nothing in those that are sick but man. Grant unto my patients such confidence in me and my knowledge as will incline them to listen to my advice and follow my prescription. Banish from their sickbed all quacks and all that host of advisers who will forever attach themselves to the fine professions, for they are cruel people who from pride and self-esteem will be the end of all good intentions. Lead my heart to listen to the voice of the truly wise among my colleagues who are willing to teach me insight, for great and wide is the expanse of wisdom. Give me strength and steel my heart against the clever fools who would blemish me, so that I shall not depart from the road of truth without regard of person. I now call upon Professor Yosef Klafter, President of Tel Aviv University, to address you.
Colleagues, graduates, family members, and guests, welcome to the 2011 graduation ceremony of the New York State American Program. Last year, we celebrated the 30th anniversary of the program. For 3 decades, Tel Aviv University has embraced the very best of young medical students from North America, given them a first-rate education and sent them home to promising careers in the medical profession. No less important, our graduates have known a deeper understanding of the Israeli reality, and I hope fondness of the Israeli people. They become ambassadors for Israel and its medical expertise for the rest of their lives. Currently, here at Tel Aviv University, we are making tremendous efforts to expand our international study programs. Just this year, we opened 4 new graduate programs taught in English: Jewish Studies, Environmental Studies, Political Sciences, and Disaster Management. This brings the number of graduate programs to 11. But the pioneering program that put Tel Aviv University on the map is the Sackler Medical School's New York State American Program. This was one of the first initiatives in the history of the state to export Israeli medical expertise. It received the full support and commitment of Dr. Raymond Sackler, who, with his family, is the benefactor of our medical school. The Sackler family viewed the New York State American Program as an opportunity to expand medical and scientific links between Israel and North America. They were right. Since those early days, the program has turned into a brand name. It stands for excellence on both sides of the ocean. Our graduates go back home and become leading practitioners in their fields and often fill senior positions in hospitals and medical centers. Tel Aviv University is very proud of the program and of you, our graduates, and we are sure that you represent the future of advanced medical care. I wish you all much success in your work back home. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Klafter. I now call upon Professor Yosef Makori, the Dean of the Sackler Faculty of Medicine, to deliver his message.
Members of the Presidium, families, guests, and dear students. Where is my group that was with me last Thursday making ground? Raise your hand. So they tried to convince me to skip my talk, right? And to have dinner a bit earlier. But since this is basically, I think, the last time that you are going to listen to me, at least, I hope hear and listen to me from this podium, so I decided just to take 5-7 minutes of your time and be patient with me. Just bear with me. Julie, where are you? That's it. So despite the fact I promised you, that's it. So anyhow, I'm reading this letter to our American graduates, particularly the class of 2011, from my long-term perspective of 35 years in academic medicine and my short-term perspective as Dean of the Sackler Faculty of Medicine. I believe that graduation from medical school is the first greatest event in your medical career. By any standard of measurement, you have accomplished Herculean tasks of intensive studies and acquisition of clinical skills. To be sure, these are major achievements, but one hopes that the most exciting and rewarding part of your professional journey is just starting. Now is the time for major transition. In reaching this point, you clearly have recognized that medical education is akin to high-speed dizzying roller coaster ride, distinguished by breathtaking emotional highs and gut-wrenching lows. My objective in writing this letter is to provide you with several simple rules of behavior that, in my experience at least, will help you sustain the highs, keep in proper perspectives the lows, and enhance your prospects for a successful practice and fulfilling personal life. First, I hope that you will be decidedly passionate about your life's work. Medicine is an ennobling and empowering profession. It will give you the means to accomplish great good and accordingly to feel a remarkable sense of achievement. However, the work is hard, physically and intellectually. If you do not absolutely love your medical specialty, Julie, remember, passion, right? I assure you that there are easier and less stressful ways to make a living. Moreover, just as your specialty training gives you the means to accomplish great good, it also may lead you to cause great harm to your patients. Second, as you enter practice, please rededicate yourself to a lifetime of self-directed learning. The cognitive knowledge you acquire during medical school will probably be outdated within 5 to 10 years, and you simply must stay current with the latest developments if you are to serve your patients well. Nourish the intellectual skills to separate the wheat from the chaff and to practice evidence-based medicine. In medicine, unlike the highway, the best place to be is the middle of the road. Be not the first to adopt the new, nor the last one to abandon the old. Care for your patients on the basis for convincing data, not strongly espouse dogma, your own recent worst experience, or anecdotal evidence offered by others. Third, be patient. Learn to accept that despite your innate sense of idealism, you will not like every patient that you encounter in practice. In fact, the lifestyle of some patients will be directly responsible for their illnesses, and those lifestyles may be the exact antithesis of your own. Nevertheless, recognize that no one deserves to be ill, and everyone merits our very best effort. Learn to work deliberately and carefully. Most serious mistakes in medicine arise not from lack of knowledge, but from imprudent haste and lack of attention to details. As you spend time with patients, talk sparingly. Learn to be a good listener. Remember that in many instances, the best medicine is no medicine at all, but rather the gift of your time and a sympathetic ear, soft shoulder, kind heart, and a compassionate soul. Fourth, at all costs, avoid arrogant behavior. No personal trait is more unsettling to patients or co-workers. Do not get too caught up in yourself and the trappings of apparent power, i.e. pagers, personal digital assistants, wireless phones, laptops, stethoscopes, and white coats. Your remarkable scholastic and personal accomplishments will be all the more noteworthy when they are tempered by humility. Fifth, strive for the highest possible level of professionalism. After working in academic medicine for about 32 years, I assure you that very few physicians ever fail in their training or practice because of inadequate intellect or lack of manual dexterity. Rather, they fail because they are not particularly likable or trustworthy people. Therefore, work conscientiously to heighten your level of maturity. Strive always to be upbeat and positive. Be part of a solution to a problem, not the cause of the problem. Avoid the company of angry, negative people, for they will be like anchors on your spirit. Learn to honor your commitments. If you agree to do something, do it on time and with enthusiasm. Be respectful, courteous, sensitive, and tactful in your interactions with others. Never be deliberately careless with another person's feeling. Act always in a way that brings honor to you and to our profession. Finally, establish and nourish your personal life. Work diligently to strike the proper balance between home and hospital. In addition to being good to your patients, be good to your loved ones and yourself. Learn to say no kindly but firmly when your plate is too full. Recognize that accept that you cannot have it all. Time always will be your scarcest resource. In the final analysis, what will sustain you most effectively throughout your adult life are your relationships with family and friends, not the number of papers you publish, organizations you chair, awards you receive, intricate procedures you develop or perform, number of patients you treat, or the material possessions you accumulate. You will be able to weather the sea of constant change that confronts us more serenely and effectively if you anchor your life in the bedrock of relationship with close friends and loved ones. So please rise, turn backward, and applaud to those who accompanied you throughout this journey. Thank you. I hope that you have great success in all your future endeavors and you bring honor on your wonderful profession and that you delight in providing skilled, compassionate care to those people who entrust their well-being to us. Please embrace your new role of a physician with great happiness and justifiable pride, but also with dignity, honesty, modesty, and grace. Make certain your life is well spent and leave our profession better for your presence. Thank you. This is an appropriate time to convey our deep appreciation and gratitude to Professor Israel Strauss, who had this program until several months ago. So Israel, please. Amen. Thank you very much. Good luck. Professor Strauss, in appreciation of your valuable contribution as director of the New York State American Program, your dedication to the program and to the well-being of the students will long be remembered. Sackler, Faculty of Medicine, Tel Aviv University, May 23, 2011. Thank you, Irene. אתה רוצה להגיד כמה מילים? אני אורז לך את זה.
Thank you very much, Professor McCory. I would now ask Professor Arnon Afek, the director of the New York State American Program, to deliver his message.
President Klafter, Dean McCory, Executive Dean Lazar, dear students and families, Shalom. A year ago, Dean McCory kindly offered me the position of head of the New York American Program. I was greatly honored and touched. It was a dream come true for me. An opportunity to assist bright young men and women in fulfilling their vocation to become physicians in the United States and bring cures to their fellow countrymen. When confronting new tasks, such as starting your residency, I suggest you to do as I did, listen and learn from all those who are willing to help. Your experience here at Sackler has been an excellent and unique opportunity. I traveled to the United States and learned from program directors in top hospitals, such as Mount Sinai, that they appreciate Sackler students. I spoke with my professor, Dr. Strauss, and with the office members here in New York. And most important, I spoke with the students themselves, as did the old Jewish proverb says. I learned from every one of my teachers, but from my students more than anyone. I found them bright and motivated. They lived in a foreign country, studied and dealt with a different culture, and became a true Israeli Sabres. Together we had achieved a great deal. It has been a great match with the help of my wonderful associate directors, Dr. Allen and Dr. Diamond, and the former director, Professor Schenkman. Our research day was conducted by a scientific committee of students and faculty, and I thank Professor Barshak, Professor Avraham, and the third-year student, Jonathan Morris. 29 excellent abstracts were presented, and it was a worthy scientific achievement. Each one of you has worked hard to arrive to this day, and each one of you has contributed to the success of the program. For our part, we will continue to seek ways to improve the program and make it even better for the students who will follow your footsteps. At this happy moment, I have two requests from you. First, to take pride in your participation in the Sackler program and continue seeing in us your home away from home. Join the Alumni Association and help our students in the next year match and electives. And when you are here in Israel, come and visit us and speak to the students. Second, become our ambassadors in the States. You have lived among us, you have seen Israel, gotten to know Israel and the Israelis. And though you may seen our weakest type at times, you have also seen our good side. Tell the people of America, the only reliable ally with whom we share common values, about Israel and the Israeli healthcare system. I will conclude my short remarks with Harambam, Maimonides' words. May I never see in a patient anything but a fellow creature in pain. Grant me the strength, time and opportunity, always to correct what I have acquired, always to extend its domain, for knowledge is immense, and the spirit of man can extend indefinitely. May God bless you all, graduate families and faculty, and bring peace to the people of Israel. Amen.
Thank you, Professor Afek. Dr. Stephen H. Lazar, Executive Dean of the New York State American Program, will now greet the students.
Mr. President, Dean, distinguished faculty, graduates, distinguished guests. The problem with being a speaker later in the program is that you hear your speech go by. So I'm going to try not to be repetitive. Very, very honestly, thank you for the honor of permitting me to speak to you today. I'm almost as excited to be here as you are. You see, I feel as though I'm really a full part of this school. First of all, congratulations to the State of Israel as it celebrates its 63rd birthday. In 1976, when Israel was still a young nation, I read a front-page article in the New York Times discussing the establishment of the New York State, eventually New York American, Sackler School of Medicine program at Tel Aviv University. I had already given a speech at that time in the early 1970s at the then Tel Aviv University School of Medicine at Asaf Harofeh Hospital and was familiar with the institution. I was an assistant dean at a New York City College of Medicine and wrote a letter cold to the dean, Dr. Scheinberg, asking if I could volunteer to assist in the formation. This was in 1976. I received a phone call a month later from a member of the board of the proposed school, and within a short time I was a member of the initial group of distinguished New York City medical school deans who volunteered and worked very hard to establish this school's affiliation between the United States and Israel and to assist in designing excellence. It was a wonderful challenge to me. It was truly a work of love. I came home and I told my wife this is more exciting than my regular work. No one was paid. Everyone volunteered to make it possible for students to have a meaningful medical education while benefiting from the academic atmosphere and the culture of Israel. The goal at that time was also to have these men and women come back to the United States and add to the number of physicians practicing in underserved areas in New York State. It was intriguing to me. Dedicated people and famous people like Dr. Saul Farber, who was then the dean of the New York University School of Medicine, and Dr. Raymond Sackler himself, there is a Raymond Sackler, who was a leader and a very active participant in the future. He continues to be active through today. I have been in this position almost a year, and Raymond Sackler calls me about 3 times a week, and he says, I was just thinking about the electives. What do you think about this? He's a very, very, very active participant in this program. So Raymond Sackler made sure that this school would reflect the excellence of the faculty, curriculum, and goal of making this one of the most premier medical school programs in the world. Dr. Sackler was so sure that it would succeed that he gave his time, money, and his name, which is more important, to the program. And it worked. You're the proof. So what makes Sackler different? I made a short list. Among other items, 1, it's a joint effort introduced and led by Israel. Initially, the president, Chaim Ben Shahar, of this university and its vice dean, Adnan Golan at the time, sought the approval of the government of Israel, and the government granted the approval for this program because Raymond Sackler told me, quote, the United States has been so supportive of Israel. 2, the Sackler School of Medicine New York State American program is chartered by the Regents of the State of New York and incorporated with Tel Aviv University. It has been recognized and improved by the State of Israel and listed in the World Health Organization's World Directory of Medical Schools. 3, the program is one of 2 in the world recognized outside the United States that's registered by the University of the State of New York Education Department. 4, the curriculum was developed by Tel Aviv University in collaboration with leading medical educators from Harvard Medical School, New York University School of Medicine, and Mount Sinai School of Medicine. 5, graduates of this program are eligible for licensure in all 50 states in the United States and Canada. 6, students in the graduating class are eligible for New York State residency programs without having to apply for a New York State license. They are treated as if they are graduates of a New York State school. 7, and very important, it's not for profit. 8, the program has also attracted financial gain for TAU. The first chairman of the board's Larry Tisch Foundation made a $2 million gift to TAU to start what is a very successful MD PhD program for Israeli students at the university. And 2 of Raymond Sackler's relatives, his cousins, gave another $500,000. The plan is to improve the quality of the Israeli and American sides of the program at all times. 9, the curricula of the Israeli and American program reflect the ever-changing aspects of medicine. Shortly after I became a member of the initial committee, I became co-chair of the admissions committee. That group of deans selected the first class, and we continue through the present. I've seen the quality of the applicants grow to where you are more competitive as compared to other students throughout the world and more successful than most under conditions not experienced by your contemporaries. You're thousands of miles from home, a different culture, patients who speak different languages, who have different customs. I know how goal-oriented and dedicated you had to be to go to a distant country and to study under conditions not found in your home communities and leave behind your support systems. Well, it worked. And it worked because you reflect this success today. I sincerely feel that I know you well. I read every single one of your applications to medical school as chairman of the admissions committee and have discussed your individual progress over the last 4 years with my colleagues. One of the greatest thrills to me in the last year is I sat at my desk a couple of weeks ago and I signed the admissions letter for the first 40 of the 63 students who are coming in next year. And it gave me a thrill to change people's lives by signing your name. I know that you have received sought-after residencies in the best hospital programs in the United States. Your selection of residencies is based on part of the success of those who preceded you and prove that the Sackler School could prepare students for the medical profession as well as the finest medical schools in the world. Don't take my word for it. Look at the biographies of those who preceded you on this campus. I've chosen a few who I've been in contact with during the last year. 1, Dr. Ayan Krantz, class of 1991, assistant professor of pediatrics and geneticist, University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. He holds a major position at the Educational Committee for Foreign Medical Graduates in the United States. 2, Dr. Jeffrey Rothenberg, 92, faculty and medical director of Coleman Center for Women, Indiana University School of Medicine. 3, Dr. Tom Tracy, Jr., 1981, professor and chairman, Department of Pediatric Surgery, Brown Hasbro Children's Hospital. And I'm very pleased to tell you that 2 weeks ago, his son was accepted to the class of 2015, and he's thrilled to death. 4, Dr. Roy Weiss, 1985, chair, Department of Medicine and professor of medicine, the University of Chicago, Pritzker School of Medicine. 5, Dr. Bruce Wenig, 1981, chairman, Department of Pathology, Beth Israel Medical Center in New York. 6, Dr. Sal Girardi, 1987, assistant chairman of physical medicine and rehab medicine at Roosevelt Hospital in New York. The next is a special guy, Dr. Gary Diamond. I hope you're here today, Gary. Gary graduated in 1982. He is the vice director of the Schneider's Children's Hospital in Israel. He is presently a chief administrator of the Sackler School of Medicine in Israel as well. You've all interacted with him. And I don't know if you know this because he's a very proud guy, but his son was also accepted into the class entering this September. Dr. Deborah Axelrod, 1982, Director of Clinical Breast Services, NYU. Dr. Jonathan Barnard, 1988, Chairman of OBGYN, Norwalk Hospital in Connecticut. Dr. Robert Best, 1992, Director of Medical Education at New York Presbyterian, who volunteered to come here last week for a week to work with the third-year students in this program as they prepared for the United States medical licensing examination. Dr. Ellen Eisenstadt, who's a member of our admissions committee, class of 1988, director of psychiatry at Beth Israel, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. You should be proud of the people in front of you, and hopefully your name will be on that list within a short period of time. Our Sackler students have proven that the United States does not have a monopoly on fine education, and Israel is proven to be a world leader in medical research and patient care, exporting its knowledge to every continent. Well over 90% of your class match with your residency choices. That number talks to the superior quality of the student population. The USMLE and the ECFMG announced last week that of the foreign graduates who are eligible for the match program, only 50% matched. Your number was 91%, and that's absolutely phenomenal. Some of your residency programs, you didn't just get residency programs. University of Rochester in New York, Boston University, Massachusetts, University of California, Albert Einstein Montefiore in New York, Jackson Memorial, Florida, Kaiser Permanente, California, University of Connecticut, Cedars-Sinai, California, George Washington, Johns Hopkins University, Mount Sinai, New York, Lenox Hill, Louisiana State University, University of Illinois, Long Island Jewish, Emory, University of Pennsylvania, University of New Mexico. You're all over the place in really fine institutions. And I didn't know till I got here today that the entire list is printed in your program, and it is phenomenal. It really is. Sackler is a different kind of school. It's a school founded in the idea of making it possible for Americans to enjoy the best of both worlds. Excellence in education and appreciation for Israeli culture. How lucky you are to have participated in this wonderful, proven experiment. How lucky your patients will be as you reflect and practice on what you have learned in Israel. But now it's your turn to return the scholarly favors that you got from Tel Aviv University. It's now your responsibility to continue the successful Sackler legacy throughout the United States and Canada in the next few years, and then with the understanding that you have been given a gift to assist others, heal others, and to do it in a personal, individual, specific, and a delicate manner. And how lucky I am to have been offered the position of your executive dean based in New York City, to work with the highly dedicated staff and scholarly professors in Israel. It is my honor. To have been a part of the school since its inception, and now to be in a key leadership position, well, this year has been more rewarding for me personally than you can imagine. I am proud now to be a formal member of your team. It's been a great ride for me as well. A medical degree is like no other. You're licensed to improve the health and well-being of your fellow men and women. No other degree program gives you that right, privilege, opportunity, and honor. Use it wisely. You join 1,501 men and women in an exclusive alumni club, a club that consists of leaders of the most prestigious hospitals in the United States and Canada and throughout the world. Become an active member of your alumni association. Continue the traditions of excellence. And I am proud to say that our alumni children have now entered our latest classes, carrying Sackler to a second generation. You should be extremely proud to call yourself a graduate of the Sackler School of Medicine, New York State American program of Tel Aviv University. Best of good luck. You earned it. Mazel tov. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lazar. I would now ask Mrs. Leah Schulman, Registrar and Administrative Director of the New York State American Program, to greet the students.
Dear graduates, families, honored guests, and members of the Presidium. Dear class of 2011, our first meeting took place 4 years ago upon your arrival to Israel on a hot and humid Israeli summer afternoon. You were sitting on the grass near the Milman dorms and tried to listen to our welcome speech and explanations regarding the new school and new environment. Time passed, and you have gotten familiar with the school and have acclimated to Israel, and now I can see here 63 young, mature, and proud physicians after 4 intensive years of hard work. We in the office know how difficult it is to study so far from your homeland environment and so far from your familiar culture. Thus, all these years we tried to assist you with any issue that you had. Our door was always open to answer your questions and to solve any problems, academic or personal. On behalf of the dear and devoted office staff, Barbara, Galit, Cornelia, and Adina, I congratulate each one of you on your new position and wish you success on your new way. I am sure that you will be wonderful physicians. All the best, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Leah Schulman. Ladies and gentlemen, the physician bears an awesome responsibility and often confronts issues of life and death. For more than 2,000 years, it's been the custom that a student of medicine at the conferment of the medical degree take a solemn oath to use his or her newly acquired knowledge tempered with wisdom and compassion for the benefit of fellow men and women. We've now reached that special moment when the graduates of the 31st class of the New York State American Program will take the solemn physician's pledge. The pledge was formulated by the late Professor Halperin on the occasion of the first graduation ceremony of medical students at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem in 1952. I would ask the candidates to please rise, to take the pledge and to raise their right hands. Professor Afek will read the pledge in English, and Professor McCory will then administer the pledge in Hebrew.
New men and women of medicine, and this is the covenant which I make with you this day, saying, you are charged day and night to be custodian at the side of the sick, at all time of their needs, even from their mother womb. And let their welfare always be your chief concern. You shall help the sick because they are sick, whether stranger, alien, or citizen, whether base or honorable. And you shall seek to fathom the soul of the sick, to restore their spirit throughout understanding and compassion. Do not hasten to bring forth judgment and wait your advice. On a wise balance, tried in the crucible of experience, be true to them and put their trust in you. Reveal not their secret and go not about as tale-bearer. And make wise your heart to the well-being of the many, to bring healing for the ailment of the people. Give honor and esteem to your teachers, and have striven to lead in the path of medicine. Increase wisdom and weaken not. For wisdom is your life, and out of it are issues of life. And for the honor of your brethren, and in honoring them you will yourself be honored. These words of this covenant are most high unto you. They are in your mouth and hearts. You shall do them, will all answer. Amen, ken naaseh. Amen, so we shall do.
פרחי הרפואה בישראל. אתם ניצבים היום כולכם לפני מוריכם בדרכי הרפואה וחוקותיה, לעובריכם בברית הרפואה למען תקיימו את תורתה בכל מאודכם בשום שכל וביושר לבב, ולמען קום דור רופאים דרוכי מס ואימוני ייעוד לעזרת האדם הדבוי. וזאת הברית אשר אנוכי קוראת אתכם היום לאמור. על משמרתכם ופחדתם ימם ולילה, לעמוד לימין החולה במצוקתו בכל עת ובכל שעה. ושמרתם עד מאוד חיי האדם מרך עמו, והיה שלמה ראש חרדתכם כל הימים. ועזרתם לאדם החולה באשר הוא חולה, עם גר עם נוכרי, ועם אזרח עם נקלה ועם נכבד. והשכלתם להבין לנפש החולה, לשובב את רוחו בדרכי תבונות ובאהבת אנוש. אל תמהרו להוציא משפט ושקלתם את עשתכם במאזני החוכמה הצרופה בקור הניסיון. שמרו אמונים לאדם שהאמין בכם, אל תגלו סודו ואל תלכו רכיל. יחכם לבכם גם לבריאות הרבים, להעלות ארוחה למדווי העם. תנו כבוד ויקר לרבותיכם שנחלצו להנחותכם במרגלי הרפואה. תרבו חוכמה ואל תרפו, כי היא חייכם וממנה תוצאות חיים. היזהרו בכבוד חבריכם, כי בכבודם הם תכובדו גם אתם. דברי הברית האלה קרובים אליכם מאוד בפיכם ולבבכם לעשותם, ועניתם כולכם, אמן כן נעשה.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to that moment when we shall confer the degree of Doctor of Medicine upon this year's graduates. I would ask Professor Yosef Makori, Dean of the Sackler Faculty of Medicine, to please rise for the awarding of the diplomas. Professor Arnon Afek, Director of the New York State American Program, and Dr. Stephen H. Lazar, Executive Dean, please step forward for the ceremony of the conferring of the doctoral hoods of medicine. Would the first row of students please proceed to the right side of the stage? Again, listen. Physicians who will take part in the hooding will be invited to come to the stage from that side when the name of the graduate is announced. The first student may wait at the top of the stairs, if you would. Thank you very much. And we begin with the graduation. Brian Altman. Bita Dvora Ajdam. Ari Belovsky. Timothy Baptist. Dr. Rex Edward, Timothy's stepfather, will do the hooding. Craig Bassman. Dr. Neville Bassman, Craig's father, will do the hooding. Doreen Ben-Ari. Dr. Dror Sofer will do the hooding. Milton Bergson. Elliot Hines Blum. Dr. Stephen Blum, Elliot's father, will do the hooding. David Zachary Bowman. Dr. Kletter, David's mentor, will do the hooding. Candice Cheng. Dr. Stephen Younger, Candice's mentor and a Sackler alumnus, will do the hooding. Orly Michal Koblenz. Dr. Aryeh Solomon, Orly's cousin, will do the hooding. David Jerome Cohen. David was the recipient of the Dean's Award for Excellence in the first year of studies, the second year of studies, preclinical studies, and for all years of study. And Dr. Gerard Cohen, David's uncle, is doing the hooding. Mari Hiranthi Dalwis. Jonathan David Drury. Martin Edwards. Pnina Eisenberg. Pnina's husband, Dr. Aryeh Dinstag, will do the hooding. Lawrence Feinstein. Ariel Flum. Dr. Robert Peter Gale, Ariel's father, will do the hooding. Svetlana Fisher. Jared Evan Friedman. Dr. Amy J. Barron, Jared's sister, will do the hooding. Scott Gershon. Would the next row of students please come to the side of the stage? Dr. Robert Gershon, Scott's father, will do the hooding. It'll take a moment as the students reach the side of the stage. Yehuda Glass. Dr. Kerry Glass, Daniel's father, Yehuda's father, I should say, will do the hooding. Kyle Jordan Glithero. Ma, no? Baruch Raphael Goldberg. Adam Goldrich. Gabriel Goodwin. Moran Gottesman. Ivy Grodman. אני אהיה בכל התמונות, כי אני בדיוק... Jonah Grossman. Dr. Elliot Grossman, Jonah's father, will do the hooding. Elena Kapilevich. Gilad Kedem. Andrew Franklin Coker. Dr. Richard Coker, Andrew's father, will do the hooding. David Lazar. Dr. Gary Lazar, David's father, will do the hooding. Benjamin Levin. Dr. Michael Levin, Benjamin's father, will do the hooding. Michael Levine. Morgan Melisande Listener. Daniel Markovici. Dr. Jakob Markovici, Daniel's father, and Dr. Ozzy Markovici, Daniel's uncle, will do the hooding. Marshall Marcus. Dr. Jeffrey Marcus, Marshall's father, will do the hooding. Whoa. Lily Miriam Marouf. Mitchell Chaikin Nelson. Miriam Ann Newer. Marissa Plattner. Dr. Stephen Blum, father of Sackler graduate Elliot Blum, will do the hooding. Mark Allen Polakov. You didn't announce it. Okay. Don't have that. Natalie Parat. Lauren Ashley Rapp. Lauren's parents, Dr. Judith Rapp, Lauren's mother, and Dr. Stephen Rapp, her father, will do the hooding. Daniel Rothstein. Karen Batsheva Sachs. Karen was the recipient of the Dean's Award for Excellence in the third year of studies. Anna Serrels. Dr. Maria Tatarinova, Anna's grandmother, will do the hooding. Ella Shaviv. Dr. Michael Osherov will do the hooding. Osnat Shmueli. Andrew Michael Siegel. Dr. Marvin Siegel, Andrew's father, and Dr. Jerry Morris, Andrew's uncle, will do the hooding. Jamie Beth Simon. Lisa Elaine Small. Joseph Tenenbaum. Dr. Vardina Shumla, Joseph's mentor, will do the hooding. Dina Weinberg. Dr. Alex Livschitz will do the hooding. Julie Rachel Waldman. Sam Weisblatt. Dr. Stephen Weisblatt, Sam's father, will do the hooding. Rivka Ilana Winderman. Hillary Candice Yaffe. Dr. Matthew Harris, Hillary's husband and a Sackler alumnus, will do the hooding. Jonathan Zember. Jonathan's aunt, Dr. Zahava Sadka Rosenberg, will do the hooding. Jeffrey Zweig. Jeffrey's father, Dr. Gary Zweig, will do the hooding. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly be seated. I am now going to ask Dr. Stephen H. Lazar, Executive Dean of the New York State American Program, to present the Michael Trichter Grauer Memorial Award to one of the students of the graduating class.
Dr. Michael Trichter Grauer was a 1996 Sackler graduate, and his award by his family is given in honor of his memory. It is given to a graduate in recognition of exceptional compassion, excellence in patient care, and public service while in the New York State American Program. This year, the Dr. Kyle Glithrow has been chosen as the recipient of the Michael Trichter Grauer MD Memorial Award. Would you come up, please, Kyle?
Congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you very much. And it is now with special pleasure that I call on the representative of the 2011 graduating class of the New York State American Program, Dr. Ben Levin, to address you.
Hello. Try to keep this fairly brief. For many of us, the first time we really felt we were in medical school was anatomy lab first year. The first day, we were led into a room in the basement where the professor was standing in front of the door. He explained there'd be no cameras, no food in the room, and no body parts were to be taken home. We all felt that was a fairly reasonable request. When we finally entered, we were paired up with a tutor, put into groups of 6, and presented our body to be dissected. For most of us, this was the first time being so close to a corpse. The room was filled with nervous chatter as each tutor asked their group who would like to make the first cut. In my group, our tutor, being slightly sadistic, chose the most terrified-looking student and handed him the scalpel. The student's hands were shaking as he pressed down the scalpel and began to cut. As he did, the body moved just a little from the pressure, and suddenly the student's arm jerked back, swinging the scalpel just inches from another student's neck. We all dove out of the way, and the tutor, no longer smiling, took back the scalpel. But as time went on, we were in the lab so often that our proximity to the dead became less terrifying, and at times seemed almost mundane. Soon you could hear different body parts being referred to as food groups: cherry pie, roast beef, hamburger. But eventually even these comments lost their shock value. The terror of being surrounded by corpses faded away, and the terror of failing our practical exam took its place. In a limited amount of time, we were expected to identify nerves, blood vessels, small muscles in the eye socket, the hand, which nerves innervated them, where they inserted, where they originated. Although seemingly impossible, eventually we prevailed, learning what we had to. But the challenges continued. Second year was the first time we were asked to take a patient's history, perform a physical exam, and present our findings to an attending physician. It was also the first time we entered the hospital wearing our white coats. I remember spending an hour and a half with the patient, desperately trying to think of relevant questions to ask. When we were asked to present our patients, I realized I didn't know her name, her age, or why she was even in the hospital. As I went around the room, I was somewhat relieved to find I was not alone. We slowly began to improve, but after having only a handful of encounters, we were informed we'd be going to a center where actors would pose as patients with various medical and social problems that we had to address. Our encounters were to be video recorded and observed by a few of our classmates through a one-way mirror. It is difficult to describe the feeling of walking into a patient's room knowing everything you're doing is being watched. Every irrelevant question, every shudder, every pause, every facial spasm. And all the while you can hear the muffled snorts and giggles of your colleagues as they try to keep it together from behind the one-way mirror. And after this humiliation, we were then forced to watch the video of ourselves as the professor critiqued us in front of everyone. Toward the end of second year, we began visiting the hospital less and began studying for the step 1 of our licensing exam. This period in our lives was, without a doubt, one of the most excruciating experiences we had to face. The amount of time each of us spent studying varied, but I would estimate it ranged somewhere from 8 to 12 hours a day for around 5 months. If you haven't taken this exam, you cannot fathom the preparation that is required. The men began to grow large, unkempt beards. The women stopped wearing makeup regularly, and all of us sat on the 9th floor or the library, twitching and shaking from the 5 to 6 coffees we were drinking a day. It was fear that pushed us forward, and no one ever missed an opportunity to mention how vital the step one was to our success. Each day began and ended the same. Every conversation consisted of one's daily progress and the study plan for tomorrow. And then one day it was over. There were no fireworks, no parade. It was just another exam. One of 1,000 exams we'd already taken and would take in the future. So we entered third year, a little wiser, a little older, and a lot more arrogant. Eagerly waiting to show off the knowledge we had acquired while studying for the step one, only to find that when it came to actually practicing medicine, we knew absolutely nothing. This fact became all too clear to me when we began studying internal medicine. Internal medicine was our first clerkship, and after a week or so, we were told that on certain afternoons, we'd be expected to stay late in the emergency room. One of the more exciting activities we were allowed to do in the ER was to stitch up minor wounds. One particular day, as I patiently waited for some poor soul to come into the ER in need of sutures, I finally got my wish. A 25-year-old man with a good-sized laceration on his hand came in. I quickly moved in, introduced myself, collected the necessary equipment, and as I prepared the wound, a tired-looking young man with scrubs and a white coat came in. We said hello to each other. I'd handed him the sutures and the rest of the kit. He began cleaning the wound and then looked at me. More iodine, do you think? I said, yeah. Tried to seem very sure of myself. All right, he said, let's begin then. And he picked up the sutures. Excuse me, doctor, I said humbly. Is there any chance that I could maybe put in a couple stitches? He looked up at me very slowly, and then his face turned pale. What do you mean, he said. I thought you were the doctor down here. I'm only a student. I've never done this before. I was stunned. I told him, I thought you were the doctor down here. I've never done this before. Suddenly the patient sprang up and said, oh my God. Relax, we said. We'll be right back. We regrouped, and eventually we were able to suture the wound, not without some difficulty. The hospital was not the only place we encountered difficulties. Early in our life here in Israel, we discovered that what were seemingly benign tasks, like shopping at the supermarket, renting an apartment, paying various bills, could in fact be all-day affairs. I remember waiting in line to open a bank account in Ramat Aviv. There was a young woman in front of me, patiently waiting her turn, and when it finally came, she calmly sat in front of the bank teller and told her shalom. And after about 5 to 6 words were exchanged, the girl jumped out of her seat, began screaming hysterically, threw all the papers into the air, and pretty much lost it. The teller immediately began screaming back. They both burst into tears, and I backed away. I looked at the security guard who was sitting close, completely disinterested. The fighting continued until the teller left, returning with an envelope. She handed it to the girl, who smiled. They then both hugged each other, kissed each other, and said goodbye. I was completely perplexed. And I also began to think that perhaps opening this account was not going to go as smoothly as I had planned. And of course, it was a complete nightmare. And in fact, that account is still open. And I'm probably not going to close it. For many of us, it would take multiple painful interactions before we began to understand how to live here. All these experiences now seem comical, but there are things that have happened to us here that are not so easily made light of. Some of us have had family members get sick or die. Some have lost friends, had relationships fall apart, struggled with depression or anxiety, been admitted to the hospital ourselves, or even had surgery done here. I did. All this so far away from home. Medical school is difficult anywhere, but it is especially so here. Trying to dedicate yourself to the study of medicine while grappling with the challenges of living in a country that is not your own, where the laws, the customs, and the culture are new to you, is a unique struggle. But with each of these experiences, whether comical or devastating, we survive. and overcame, which is why we're all here today. Learning the science of medicine is only half of the discipline. The other half has been finding the strength to push forward, where most people would have turned away. As physicians, we'll be forced to diagnose people with terminal diseases, tell family members their loved ones are dying, and then ask them to endure. How can you counsel someone through hardships unless you successfully battled through them yourself? Although we may not know what it takes to go through cancer treatment or Parkinson's disease, we now know how to face the challenge and where to find the strength to overcome it. Each of us has failed here, made mistakes here, been humiliated here, battled through multiple disappointments and catastrophes here. And it is precisely these moments and how we reacted to them that have prepared us all to be great physicians. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Levin. I would now call on Dr. Daniel Markovici to present on behalf of the students the Best Teacher of the Year Award for Preclinical Studies.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we stand before you to present the award for Best Preclinical Educator. From our first formative moments at Sackler, Professor Henry Abramovich has been there as a mentor and teacher, conveying the knowledge base of the behavioral science course. He has also been there for us in other capacities, ever encouraging us along this journey and reminding us that amidst the pressure to excel academically, at its very roots, medicine is about the relationship between a patient and a physician. While the body may be the focus of so much of today's treatment, the patient's mind and spirit must also be deeply respected. Before we even began our behavioral science course, I recall sitting in room 215 and being asked to write a letter to my future self that would be sealed and not returned until this very night when we receive our medical degrees. While I have a vague recollection of what I actually wrote down, I remember thinking, isn't this medical school? Shouldn't I be learning about drugs or diseases or working on cadavers already? But why on earth is this guy making us write letters to ourselves? It wasn't until the coursework really set in that I realized just what Henry was getting at. He was reminding us that, eager as we were to jump right into the academic material, it is vital for students and especially physicians to take a moment to step back from academics and remember the personal reasons behind why we entered medicine in the first place. This theme repeated itself throughout our time at Sackler. While busy digging through histology slides of monkey fingers or listening to pathology lectures on double speed several times over, Henry has been there to remind us to slow down and to remember that we are not just soulless repositories of knowledge. He passionately emphasized that our humanity, emotions, and intuition are not elements that hinder objective scientific analysis. Rather, these are the true keys to our profession, allowing us to empathize and connect with our patients, to see them as people and not as collections of symptoms referred to only by their disease. Under the guidance of Professor Abramovich and Dr. Elisa Hakimian, the six of us up here tonight, Drs. Bidawis, Yafi, Searles, Benari, Shaviv, and myself, formed a monthly discussion group during our third year. The purpose of this group was to focus on our transition to life in the hospital, including interactions with doctors, patients, and colleagues, and to provide support during the critical time of exploring our future specialty choices. This forum has been a long-lived dream of Henry's and addressed the neglect of emotional maturity in the medical school curriculum. Following the success of our group, the Sackler School of Medicine recognized the necessity for addressing emotional and interpersonal experiences of students and has since implemented it as a required part of the Medicine, Person, Society, and Doctoring course for all students. What began as a much-beloved experiment by Professor Abramovich has now finally been recognized as a vital aspect in the training of a caring physician. When we think of Henry, we're reminded of his constant encouragement and commitment to his students' education. Whenever we had a problem, whether it was administrative or negative interaction with a physician or teacher, Henry was dedicated to finding a solution and emphasized his availability to us during times of need, day or night, going above and beyond for all his students. The class of 2011, and especially his former third-year students, are proud to present the award for Best Preclinical Educator to Professor Henry Abramovich.
When we met 4 years ago, I made a promise. And here it is, your letters. In alphabetical order. Now, as you know, it's very easy during the intensity of medical school and the practice of medicine to lose your idealism, to become cynical, to be overwhelmed, lose your empathy, and become burnt out. But I believe when you read those letters, you will see that you have been true to yourselves, and you will stay true. Now, in that course 4 years ago, I had some mottos, and I'm going to repeat the mottos as my last lesson to you and my farewell kiss. Number 1, you can never not communicate. Number 2, the great Osler, listen to your patients. They're trying to tell you the diagnosis. 3, you can hurt more with the slip of a tongue than the slip of a knife. 4, the great balance. The doctor is the best pill. And finally, just to repeat what Daniel said, remember, medicine is something that happens between people. And every time when you go meet a patient, a new patient, remember, smile and touch your heart and have compassion. Good luck. We're so proud of you.
I would now ask Dr. Joseph Tenenbaum to come up to present on behalf of the students the Best Teacher of the Year Award for Clinical Studies.
So I think this is the last speech, and then we'll get to go eat. Gives me a great honor to be able to present the award for Best Clinical Teacher. As a class, we were very fortunate to be taught by some of the best physicians in the country. Selecting one person to receive the award for Most Outstanding Clinical Teacher was a difficult task for all of us. In the end, we decided to give the award to somebody who worked tirelessly for the School of Medicine and affected all of our clinical education. The person who I'm introducing today is the person that introduced us all to medical school. He told us on day one that during this journey we would all change, that we wouldn't know when, but at some time during this journey we would all become physicians. Later, many of us had the opportunity to work with this clinician and to learn the art of medicine. Professor Shankman presented each of us with our white coats today, and it gives me... He presented us each with our white coats 4 years ago. And it gives me great pleasure today to present the award for Most Outstanding Clinical Teacher. Professor Shankman.
Well, thank you very much, Joe. First, I want to congratulate the class of 2011. You've really done a fantastic job in the past 4 years, and the residencies that you've gotten are really fabulous, and congratulations to you. I've been, medical education, teaching medical students is an important part, has always been an important part of my professional responsibilities as a physician. It's something I truly love. And it's very nice to receive this award and to feel appreciated for this, and I thank you very much. I thank the class. over the years, I've always tried to help physicians, medical students and physicians become good doctors. And perhaps the essence of what I've been trying to teach over the years can be summarized by a short anecdote of a conversation I had with second-year students that I was teaching physical diagnosis a few weeks ago on Yossi McCory's ward. The students cornered me in the hall, and they said, Dr. Shemkin, what do you think about alternative medicine? And I answered them in the following fashion. I said that if conventional physicians would treat patients with sensitivity and compassion, alternative medical practitioners would have much less to do. If a physician practices scientific medicine without caring for the patient and listening to them, he's being cruel. And if you practice medicine in a fashion that you've got fantastic bedside manner and you're very compassionate, but you don't know what you're doing, then you're a charlatan. So clearly, to be an excellent physician means to combine scientific medicine with listening to the patient and things that you've heard from Henry and from your other mentors, caring for the patient and being empathic. I think that's the key. Finally, I want to say that I'm very pleased to receive this award on this particular graduation because my very dear friend Steve Lazar is sitting on the podium for the first time as the executive dean, and you have to know that Steve has been involved with the program since its inception, and the program is very lucky to have him at its head in the New York office, and I'm sure that he's going to do a fantastic job in the coming years, and I wish him all the success. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I would now ask the Melody Band to come back up on the stage, if they would. And ladies and gentlemen, as we approach the end of this evening's ceremony, I'd ask you to please rise for the singing of the American and the Israeli anthems. kindly be seated one more moment, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to the Melody Band. And now the 31st graduation ceremony of the New York State American program of the Sackler School of Medicine, Tel Aviv University, has come to a close. Congratulations to the graduates and to the families. You're all invited to the Gan Hadikalim garden for the graduation dinner party. I've been asked to tell you that graduates, their families and guests will be seated on the left side of the dividing walkway of the Gan Hadikalim dinner area. Faculty, program guests and other students will be seated on the right side of the walkway. Kindly remain seated until members of the Presidium have left the auditorium. Mazal tov, congratulations and good night.
Thank you. I met you 3 years ago. Here.